This is a story about being stranded on a mountaintop in Turkey, Mount Uludağ. It was the winter of 1965 and 66, and a few of us that were stationed on the Sea of Miramar decided that we wanted to take a day trip to the ski lodge at Mount Uludağ in Turkey, and I may not be pronouncing that exactly the way it should be pronounced. So a group of us got together, and we had a small bus and a Turkish driver. And down on the coast, it snowed occasionally, but you could always see snow up in the mountains. But on the coast, it was rare to get snow, but it rained quite a bit in the wintertime. And that day, the rain was coming down in sheets. And our Turkish driver was trying to talk us out, or trying to get us to cancel the trip. And we being young and foolish, we out-talked the driver and told him no, we wanted to go. So he was willing to take us. As we started up the mountain, it was raining and so hard that there was a mudslide and a large tree had fallen across the road. Now this should be a good indication to turn around and go back. But when you're young, you don't take advice. So what we did is we just jumped off the bus and got a chain, hooked the chain to the tree, and hooked the chain to the bus and pulled the tree out of the way. Some people were coming off of the mountain, and they were speaking a language that I didn't understand. They weren't speaking Turkish. And I could tell from the conversation that they were suggesting that we turn around and go back, but we didn't. Now you can guess what it was doing on up the mountain about 1,000 feet up. So as we continued, I know it was some of the biggest snowflakes that I had ever seen in my life. And it started covering the road, and it was absolutely beautiful. And we continued on, and eventually the snow was so deep that it was up above the bumper on the bus, so we were stuck. I don't know how many miles we were from the top where the ski lodge was at. Of course, not at the very summit of the mountain, but pretty high up. So the only thing that we could do is either walk off the mountain or walk up to the ski lodge. So we decided to walk to the ski lodge. And lucky for us, it wasn't really that cold that day, but the snow was really coming down. So we set out walking. I don't know exactly how many miles it was, but we arrived at the ski lodge. And when we arrived there was no vacancies. And none of us were equipped for being outdoors for any period of time in the winter. So the only thing that we could do is we had to stay in a shelter. So we more or less commandeered the lobby of the ski lodge. At that time there was a reporter from one of the newspapers in Istanbul, and he photographed us. Most of us were sleeping on the floor and in the ski lodge. The next morning, the snow was above the windows on the first level. And we had to literally, but by this time the snowplow had come in, and we had to dig a tunnel to the gas pumps to refuel our vehicle to come off of that mountain. Our pictures appeared in the paper, and I was thinking that we probably were going to get into some trouble. But luckily, there was a chaplain on that trip. Well, I didn't know. And when we got back to where we were at on the Sea of Miramar, he spoke up for us. So we almost caused an international incident, but we didn't. And as we came off the mountain, the weather had cleared. And at that time, the Turkish Air Force were flying F-84 Thunderstreaks. And a couple of F-84 Thunderstreaks were buzzing the mountain. And it was absolutely a beautiful sight. And that mountain is one of the prettiest things that I have ever seen. And there still is a ski resort there. If you're ever looking for a unique ski adventure, you normally wouldn't think of Turkey as a great place for a ski adventure, but Mount Uludağ will offer you a trip of a lifetime. Well, thank you very much for listening to that story. See you. Have a good day. See you. Bye-bye.